We're gonna talk tech today. Is that okay?
Tech?
Yeah, we're gonna talk tech.
I can barely work my phone.
San Diego Comic-Con. Panels, comics, toys, art, cosplay, and tech? Yep, times are changing in the world of comics, and I got a chance to sit down with Marc Silvestri to talk about it. You know, the Marc Silvestri, Uncanny X-Men, Wolverine, Image Comics, Top Cow, Witchblade, yeah, that Marc Silvestri. We sat down after the Line Webtoon panel to discuss how modern tech is impacting the world of comics.
Digital entertainment, what is the phrase you use? Excelsior. Webtoons. I have no memory, but that's the wave of the future.
I still do comics the old way. I still do them on a board, on paper, with ink. I still do that, and I get it. You know, I get the whole Wacom thing. I get the whole tablet thing. My buddy Todd McFarlane even uses a tablet, and I've tried it. I'm just very tactile. You know, I need to feel the paper. And I can feel the difference between a good run of paper and a bad run of paper, or a good nib on a pen or a bad nib. I just need to feel that. Yeah. But I think tablets, if we're talking about that for a second, I think those are a godsend for people like concept illustrators, when there's a lot of changes to be made. People who are in advertising, when there's changes to be made, it's like zoop, you just change it. Yeah. But you know, I like having an original in front of me, and I like working on a piece of paper.
I know in the panel you guys just had, you were talking about some of the benefits that apply to comic creators when we're working in the digital space. So you said that you like the art of, you know, actually feeling the paper and going through that process. But for people who are new that maybe, you know, are sketching on their school books and stuff like that, this is a way for them to get their work out there. And how would you say that's different from when you first got into comics?
Well, then we're talking about, you know, delivery systems, right? So, I mean, you can still do what I do, and I mean, we do it digitally after I've drawn it. I mean, it never changes hands. Back in the day, you would have to mail things FedEx. I know that's, for you kids out there, FedEx, you've seen the commercials, they still exist. And everything was back and forth between the penciler, the inker, and when I used to work for Marvel back in the day, it was all FedExed. Physical. We don't do that anymore. Even though I draw on physical paper, after that, it goes to the scanner, it becomes digital. Right? It's like, so it's all about the delivery system. Yeah. And I think no matter what, you can be a sculptor if you want and take photos, and if that's how you want to tell comic books, I think it's a great idea, by the way. It doesn't matter as long as you're telling a story, because the delivery system of the digital age, that's how it's going to get everywhere. Mm-hmm. Whether you're a painter, whether you're a digital artist, whether you scribble on napkins, it doesn't matter. Right. It's how it gets to the people.
And actually, when you say whether you scribble on napkins, it made me think with Webtoons, you probably could take your doodles on napkins, take photographs of them, and make your own Webtoon comic.
Well, I mean, and my wife and I, we have this thing that we do called Gorb, which is this little character. If you go on my Facebook page or my wife's Facebook page, you can look through it, and it's just a single comic strip that I do of this character that we created. It's just about love. Right? It's a little thing that I would do for her every night. That just, I'm thinking of you and I love you. And I draw them on Post-it notes.
Okay.
That's it. And I take a photo of it, and I put the Post-it note on her computer in the morning so she sees it. But you can work on anything. I work on Post-it notes for that. I work on big 11 by 17 inch paper for the comics. It doesn't matter. Whatever your medium is and whatever you're comfortable in, it has nothing to do with how it gets to the people.
Now, would you ever, do you publish those little Post-it notes, your little love comic? Would you do that?
We are going to, at some point, we're going to do that. Right now, just you have to go on one of our pages on Facebook and check it out. But we are thinking about that, yeah.
It's very personal now, so people can get their personal dreams and their stories that they've had their whole lives out so much easier. I know when you started doing comics, it would take, months before you could finally get that story out to people?
Oh, sometimes years. Really, yeah. I mean, not as bad as feature film or television, mind you, and now it's exponentially faster. Right. But it was, on average, it was 6 months at least before you'd actually see your book out there. Yeah. And it's still about that time. And there's a lag between when you solicit a book to the retailers and when that book comes out. It's like 3-4 months, something like that. Right. So it's a little bit, but compared to years movie making, and maybe it comes out, maybe it doesn't. Video games,
right? Yeah.
Also, I mean, it's. Whenever, and again, I've dipped my toes in all forms of media, and I'll always come back to comic books as being the best simplest, most direct way to be creative without any interference whatsoever that there is. Literally nothing exists that's more freeing than comic books.
Yeah, it's your story.
It's your story. And there's no filter between you and the audience if you don't want one.
Right.
You just put it out there as you see fit. And either they love it or they don't love it. It's okay.
Right.
No harm, no foul, but you got it out there.
Right.
It's not like having to take a project, pitch it to a Hollywood executive.
Right.
That executive goes to his boss, says, oh, we kind of like this. We already have 20 comic book properties, whatever. Or if you're lucky, it goes a little bit further up the chain, and then you get a writer, a studio-approved writer.
Right.
Which, they have a certain list. That guy wrote this and that tanked. Can't use him anymore.
Don't know about him.
It's like, and it's like you go through all, then you get an actor involved, you get a director involved. It's like, oh my God, you still haven't made your movie.
Right.
Right? You still haven't gotten there yet. You can get all the way, get your movie made, greenlit, made. They cut you whatever their check is. Tanks.
Yeah.
All right, and even if it does well, it's out of people's minds a few weeks later because the next movie is in IMAX.
Exactly.
Right. So where's your time to enjoy it? Mm-hmm. With comic books, it's evergreen. People can just go whenever they want. Either download it, they go to a comic book shop. It's there in the back issues bin.
Yeah.
It's just there, and it didn't cost you anything, relatively speaking. And time was just your time put into it. Try doing that on a television show.
When you talk about television shows or movie production, it makes me link the idea of digital comics and the ease of that creation process and the openness of that creation process kind of to what YouTube did for television and film. There's people who want to make videos, they want to put that content out there, and now they can with ease.
And all that such.
Right.
And again, it's a way for people to cheaply get an idea out there. There's probably, I don't even know how many success stories about through YouTube or Funny or Die of someone putting it out there and even getting an acting job because of it.
Right.
It's become like the new demo reel for actors. So if I did this little YouTube short, or a Funny or Die short, check it out. So it's a brave, wonderful new world that we live in. I for one, I'm not this curmudgeon-y old guy going, get off my lawn, you digital kids.
You're definitely not.
No, it's like I'm embracing it. I embrace anything that allows people to let their passion go out. Because there's nothing sadder than a loud voice that's quiet.
I love that.
Right? but it's like now you have your loud voice and everyone can hear it. Good and bad. They'll hear it.
Yeah, exactly.
But there's no middleman anymore. If you're a creative person or even someone who just has a stupid joke they want to put out there, a dumbass meme, whatever, it's like, there you go. And you're on the internet.
I am on the internet,
You know all about YouTube.
I try to know all about the YouTube.
It's an amazing opportunity for you.
It's a great opportunity for me, yeah. And actually, I did the traditional media thing for a while. Went out, tried to audition, tried to pull connections. And when I found out, wait, I can just do it myself. And then if people want to watch it, they can. Way better. Same thing with comics. Now you think, I don't need to. You hear those crazy stories about people at Comic-Con who stand up in a panel.
My brother and I've told this story, I got into comics because in 1981, DC was running a new talent hunt.
Okay.
And there was a Chicago Comic Convention where I grew up. And I threw together a portfolio like 6 months beforehand because I didn't really draw seriously.
Okay.
And put together a portfolio. My brother wrote like a 4-page comic, and I drew it, and I had these drawings and stuff like that. And we went to the portfolio viewing, and 2 people in front of me, they shut it off. They had enough. They were done.
No.
And I was ready to go home. It's like, okay, that didn't work. My brother was like, no, we're getting them to see your portfolio. You've got the stuff. It's like, all right. And Joe Orlando was the editor-in-chief at that time at DC Comics.
Yeah.
And we found out what room he was in. We went up there, knocked on the door. Room service.
That's so ballsy.
And he opened the door, and you could see it on his face as I had my portfolio. He went,
oh, no.
Yeah, and I felt bad. And plus, I felt like an idiot. But my brother was like, no, trust me, you got to see this, this stuff. Still. Oh, I owe him my whole career. I love that guy. And sure enough, he went through it, and I think he was in his bathrobe or something. So it was weird, but he went through my stuff, and a week later, I was working for DC Comics.
That's amazing.
Yeah, but I do not recommend that today. You don't need to do that, kids.
You don't need to do that anymore, thanks to new tech.
Yes, you don't need to stalk editors anymore. You could just tag them on Facebook, whatever.
So earlier you mentioned the curmudgeon-y people that are very resistant to this trend that we're changing over to digital people, and there is something to be said for people who really want their print, whether they're consumers or creators.
There's room for both. Digital's not going away, people. In case you didn't know that, you're watching this on digital right now. So, but you need to embrace that. You need to embrace the future without forgetting the past. Because there's something very special about holding a comic book in your hand. It just is. It's special, and it's something you can collect, something you can go to and pick up physically. Even kids like it. Kids are very tactile. Even they like a comic book, and we'll get it both ways, digital and comic. Everyone can be happy.
Have you started to change the way that you personally read comics as a consumer?
I don't read that many comic books. I read ours.
That's okay. We won't tell anybody.
You'll edit that part out, right?
Sure.
I don't personally do things different for both, but I'm aware that we need to, and the stuff that we're going to do for webtoons will be specific so that the interface is really smooth.
It's beautiful.
Have you tried it? Right?
Yeah, I got to play with it a little bit.
It's so easy.
It's super easy. Yeah, you just vertical scroll just like you would be reading a web page or an article or anything else that you read on your phone or on your tablet.
It'll be smart because that's what the device was made for. It's like you follow what works. Facebook works.
Yeah.
Okay, you follow that. That's what people are used to.
Yeah.
And it works because of the format of the phone or the tablet, whatever. And so it's great. And whatever I do, if we move that over to webtoons, we'll just switch things around and make it work.
Yeah.
But it's wonderful, and webtoons is awesome. Tom Akel is awesome.
Yeah.
And I was saying this in the interview that we just did, that he's a genius. He's like a savant of the digital world, and I'm just really happy I can finally get to work with him.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Everybody go read Cyberforce. You definitely should check it out. Well, Marc, thank you so much for talking tech with us today. This was super enlightening, super nice to meet you. Thank you for sharing your experience and wisdom with everyone on the interwebs.
Well, thank you very much, and thank you for being into comic books and everything like geeky and all that. Love it.
There's more of us than you know. I feel like everyone's constantly coming out of the nerd closet.
They are. It's safe now.
Yeah.
It's safe. You can be proud of it.
It's a good time to love what you love.